and he's like a mentor to you if he likes your stuff, and it's kind of gross.
I fucking hate that guy so much. I dare him to call me a pleb. I don't think he's ever called me a pleb. He's called me a lot of things, but he's never called me a pleb. I dare him to call me a fucking pleb, because I'll test him. I'll quiz his ass on some fucking anime knowledge. No one can beat me on anime knowledge.
I thought you said you blocked him from your channel.
School anime. Like, dude, I would totally pay to see you actually have like a showdown with Anime Snob, especially since I've actually seen you talk about in your videos and stuff about like old mecha anime and old anime in general and history of anime, and like against Anime Snob, who claims that he knows about that, but who I haven't actually seen any evidence of him watching any show past like the, I guess, late 80s to early 90s. It'd be sort of interesting for you guys to pair up and talk about that.
The only way I would do it is if I could somehow do it in person. Because people like that are the type who, when you meet them in person, they're fucking quiet, you know? They're not going to say shit to you in person. They'll just be like, or they'll say like, hey, Digi, I'm that Anime Snob, you know, like, but not willing to go all the way and like fucking argue with you. And I'll just throw down with them face to face. That would be fucking excellent.
Hold the fucking phone. So there's this guy who's called That Anime Snob.
Yes.
And he's a snob about anime.
Yeah.
And
I've heard.
Fucking angry at him for being a snob when it's in his name.
Well, no. I listened to a little bit of his shit. I found like the shortest video I could. That was like 2 to 3 minutes. I couldn't make it past like 40 seconds. I'm like, oh my god, he's so
Like,
goddamn.
he's-
Probably didn't even make it to the part where he talks shit about me for liking anime visuals.
Like,
Well,
is he just a snob,
video was
or is he badly arguing?
He's this obnoxious
Dude,
Indian
he's
guy.
a fucking idiot, dude.
Oh.
He's an
He
absolute
totally-
idiot.
He
None of his
constructed
videos
some
make
kind
any
of
sense.
How does he get money on
ridiculous
Patreon?
straw man about Digi. It was so
Yeah.
awful. It was like
He
in his
basically
video.
He thinks that because I made a video calling people to talk about visuals more in anime, like I was saying, you know, blogosphere, who thinks that visuals are the only thing that matter in anime. So
Yeah.
now I've become his straw man, his symbol for people who don't care about plot and only care about visuals. That's what I symbolize to him. And he brings it up all the time in his videos. Like, he brings up me specifically as a guy who thinks that visuals are all that matter. But his videos aren't him explaining a show to you. It's, you are an idiot, right? He's like, these people are idiots, and this show is trash,
It's like
and
this-
everyone who likes it is a dumbass, and you're all plebes, and that's how he sounds. He has like an accent,
Mhm.
and
Very Indian.
he just goes on and on like that, and he never says anything analytical or critical about the show at all. He just rants about how you're an idiot for liking it. So anyways,
he'll nitpick plot. He will. I mean, when he talks about like Madoka Magic, for example, he'll just like be like, hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. He'll just take some sort of small aspect of the show and bloat it up to sort of moment, and it's really not, because it doesn't necessarily detract from everything else that the show does well to nitpick one moment and be like, hey, this doesn't work, this sucks, and then let's...
favorite anime is Legend of the Galactic Heroes, tells me he's not thought critically about that show at all. That show is not this tightly constructed and woven, brilliant plot epic. Like, if anything, it works better as a metaphor than it does as a show, which I talked about on this radio show a couple weeks ago. But, like, the dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's an idiot. But anyway, enough about that Anime Snob. I have to finish this rant about Dr. Wolf.
I love this one.
So,
Dude,
the
his
what
brother's
we're getting
also
to-
equally as creepy. I just wanted to bring that up as like a furry
Okay,
and stuff like
we'll
that.
finish off
His
the Dr.
brother
Wolf
is
segment
so
first.
Yeah, I'm going to get the scorch
I know.
after Wolf.
I want him
No,
to.
no, he's
I want
talking
Digi
about
to finish.
Dr. Wolf. He's saying that he finds his wolf avatar creepy, even as a
Do
furry.
you know why he got a wolf avatar? That's funny in itself. He didn't want people.
I think he was
No,
just
no,
trying
no,
to
no,
be
no,
a
no.
hipster brony.
No, no, no,
in
no,
the
no, no,
sense,
no, no,
like-
no. That's not it. This is funny. Faith told me this. He's like he made it a wolf avatar so people wouldn't ship his OC.
What, really?
Yep, isn't that
I'm not
hysterical?
surprised. He's really anti-shipping and stuff like that.
I remember
He's
Faith's like,
Mormon.
does he not know about the furry community? I'm like, fuck him.
His
That's
brother's
what
a
he's
furry.
trying to stop.
His brother is just as creepy as he is.
Brother is an actual furry, but yeah, he is pretty weird, being creepy.
the brother.
Anyways, finish off this fucking
Yes,
story.
fucking
Go ahead.
So Dr. Wolf does this show called A Moment with Dr. Wolf, and he was telling me he wanted to do a show with me. I presented to him an idea that I had for this show, and I was suspecting he would not be okay with it because it involved alcohol, right? Because their job and stuff like that will find their way to this bar. And each episode of the show will like tell you that person's story and like what's weighing down on them. And then the bartender guy will make them some kind of extravagant drink that perfectly reflects their situation, and they drink it and they feel relieved and they leave the bar feeling. It's sort of like A Moment with Dr. Wolf, except instead of the person like analyzing them and like trying to like help them through their problem, they just sort of interpret their situation and then it makes them feel better. And it's a cool show. It's like the people used to call it the manly slice of life show and stuff like that because it was really slow sort of slice of life anime. But anyways, I proposed to Dr. Wolf, hey, what if we did this bartender style? Like I linked him the first episode and explained it to him. I was like, if I like come into a bar and you're the bartender and you like I just, you know, kind of dump my problems because I don't really want advice, and then he made me a drink and I was on my way. Well, of course he didn't want to do alcohol. He was like, I don't know if I can endorse alcohol in my videos and stuff like that. So he was like, you know, well, I was like, well, what if you just like you give me a drink and then you say later that it's not alcoholic, you know, like you just, you know, make it a joke or something like that. And he also was like, he was coming up with all these reasons he didn't want to do it basically. And I was like, the only thing that I really had a problem with at a time like in my life was like the way that my fans were perceiving me differently from how I was, because this was a couple months after I stopped doing Pony and like where people were still kind of, you know, didn't really understand why I had left and stuff like that. He was like, well, that wouldn't really be relatable and it's too similar to Tommy Oliver's problem, which he had brought in on the show like a couple weeks earlier. So he was trying to help me come up with something, right? So this dude just starts like throwing stuff at me like, well, don't you have a problem with this, right? So he brings up the fact that I used to drink nothing but Mountain Dew all the time, right? He's like, didn't you have like an addiction to Mountain Dew? And I was like, well, I stopped drinking Mountain Dew. All I drink is Diet Green Tea now. So then what happened was Dr. Wolf and I end up having a conversation where he is literally trying to convince me that I have a problem with being addicted to Diet Green Tea. He's like trying to caution me, like he's really legitimately concerned about this thing that I don't consider a problem at all. First of all, it's not dangerous in the slightest. But specifically, he was trying to say it was a caffeine addiction, and then I could eventually, you know.
He does see caffeine as
the Mormon guy who doesn't drink caffeine. So to him, caffeine is this devilish evil thing that he doesn't understand. So he's trying to convince me I'm addicted to caffeine, and I'm like visibly getting mad at him as this conversation continues, right? And what he tried to say, this is where it got hilarious. He starts giving an example of how his mom apparently is addicted to salt. And he was saying, like, his mom had been addicted to salt for such a long time that she went to the doctor, and the doctor was telling her, like, you need to stop eating salt altogether because you're going to have heart problems. And, like, she was trying to quit, but she was having difficulty with it. And he was like, you know, what if you try to quit one day? What if it becomes a problem and one day you try to quit and you can't quit because you're too addicted? And I'm like, do you think I'm fucking stupid?
What?
Like,
No,
just because your mom is such a dumbass that she can't quit salt doesn't mean that I'm a dumbass. Like, my dad just, like, about eight or 9 months ago, after 20 years of drinking and smoking constantly, quit smoking, quit drinking all at once, cold turkey. Still fine. 9 months later, I'm confident I could do that if caffeine became a fucking problem in my life. So this asshole is trying to convince me that I'm fucking that I have a dangerous addiction to caffeine. And I basically was like, dude, I'm done with you. Like I that was the last time I spoke to him. I didn't want anything to do with him. And then
Can we go back to this salt thing?
The what thing?
The salt.
The salt thing?
thing.
Yeah, what the fuck
You
was
need
that?
to quit salt. No, fuck
No,
off.
nope.
Salt is a vital part of the human diet. If you don't have salt, you will die. This is not a case of me
You
exaggerating.
should just
things.
reduce salt, not
Yeah.
like completely
Yeah.
eliminate it necessarily.
No,
It's-
I don't think she had to completely eliminate it from her diet, but she would just load salt onto everything.
Is
Like,
she a horse? Was she consuming salt licks?
I don't know, dude. He just told me she would put lots of salt on everything.
See, now I don't even get how you'd get to that position because I don't put salt on anything, and I still like everything fine.
I want to
It's
thank
so
you.
salty anyway. Like everything is always so fucking salty. So at dumping on just a pile of salt to something isn't going to.
That is
just
definitely
makes it
on
taste
some like
crappy.
My Strange Addiction tier shit right there.
I wanted
Yeah, oh my
I-
god.
I wanted
I'm
to thank you for
addicted to
that.
Salt Dum dum da.
I said I wanted to thank you for the dirt on Dr. Wolf. I was a little disappointed when I was talking to Jerry before the show, and I was like, hey, I noticed you were supposed to have a moment with Dr. Wolf. What exactly happened? Did he try and bully you into having a problem? He's like, no, I just thought that I could get more mileage on my show than on his, with like 3 or 4 different episodes. I was like,
Right.
and I was like, ah, crap, maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Maybe he's not as much of a jag-off as I thought he was. And then you gave me this. I was like, he was.
By the way, we've just been
Hello,
joined by
Kelly.
Gigi.
GG.
Hello, what did I walk into?
Hugs.
Apparently, we're ripping onto a lot of people that Digi
Yeah,
hates.
I'm ripping on Dr. Wolf, the famous pony analyst guy.
I've never
because
met the guy, and I feel like I have this
I just got done telling the story about how he
hatred
tried to
of him.
convince me I am addicted to green tea in order to be on his stupid ass fucking show that I personally consider dangerous to young people to listen to this guy and his fucking advice. But here's the other thing that happened where one of Dr. Wolf's artist is also an artist who did a lot of stuff for me. And she was working on a moment with Dr. Wolf for him, and she was telling me about how, like, she had, like, basically she didn't really want to do it, but she kind of needed money, and he had offered to pay her for it, right? Which most of the time he does not pay his...
Or can't.
That's really
This guy-
dirty, by the way.
I know exactly who
This
you're
guy
talking about.
has a Patreon,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't pay his artists, right?
I can
Who do-
answer that. He sat there and says, "Oh, very specifically, that money is put aside so I could talk to all my fans at
So
con
he can go to
every
all
last time.
conventions.
Nope,
Yeah,
nope,
I
nope, every
know.
penny." I sat there and said, "Well, tell you what, why not just do something where people donate and you have to match like every $10 with $1?"
No,
And
you
he just,
get to go to fucking conventions on the basis of videos you don't fucking make. Consider that
you're preaching to the choir.
this guy only writes half of his of these videos, right? Because he does them in with other people. It's a two-way street. Like from what Tommy Oliver told me, like the script for the video that they made was basically just the conversation that they had about what to make a video about. Like he just basically converted that into a script real quick, and that was the script. So this is half written by another person who's not getting paid. It's drawn entirely with these really great artworks that are like, you know, with the ponies are moving and everything on backgrounds. Doesn't pay the artist. And his excuse is, well, all the money on Patreon goes to getting me to conventions. And, you know, the people who pay for my Patreon want me to go to these conventions, and it would be wrong to not do what they... Dude, you're getting to these conventions on the basis of someone else's work, people who are working much harder than you. And he stacks videos on each of his artists. Like, as soon as they're done with one, he immediately assigns them another. And they're just, the only reason these artists are doing it is because they just want a touch of the pony fame, you know? They just want to be relevant to someone, want to have their work out there. But all of them have admitted that they don't like the working conditions, that he wants stuff on too little of a deadline. He clearly doesn't understand the amount of work they're putting in, you know, stuff like that. And so this artist is telling me, like, she really didn't want to do this next moment with Dr. Wolf. And then she said that, like, a while back, like, one of her friends had died. And, like, Dr. Wolf had, like, messaged her asking something about, like, a video or something. She was like, look, my friend just died yesterday. I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, don't talk to me about anything, you know, like, I'll talk about it later. And he, like said, like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Anyways, hope you do okay on the video or something like that. Like he immediately asked her about the video.
Oh, he
After
recorded her,
just hearing
ran right over her.
about her friend dying. He immediately asks her about whether she's gonna do the video, and it was just like, and
Jesus
I
fucking
actually,
Christ.
I
like,
understand
after
why
he
she
talked to
hates
me
him
about
now.
it, I convinced her to quit, and she did. She did quit working on the. I was like, dude. I was like, you, because she was saying how, like, she didn't really have the time to be working on this video because she was going to school, and she was only doing it for, like, the little bit of money he was giving her, which was not nearly the amount that she was worth for it. Where he was like, she said it would be like 50 hours of work to make all the stuff for this video, and he was paying her like $70 or something like that. Like, something that would be like meager pittance compared to the amount of fucking work she was doing. And I was like, dude, you clearly don't want to do this. This guy's an asshole. Stop. And she did. And I was like, cool. And I was like, I'm now going to try to, like, I was like, if I get any incentive, I'm going to talk to all of his other artists and try to convince them all to quit. Because it just disgusts me, you know, to see someone like taking someone else's work without, like, without any compensation when they're doing more work than he is, you know? I mean, I'm full disclosure, I'm paying Ocelot, an anime guy I just collaborated with on a video. I marked his video on Patreon. I'm giving him a third of the money because, like, he did at least a third of the work. He wrote half the video. I edited it. And he didn't even ask. I was just like, hey, I'm going to mark this on Patreon. Do you want money? You know, here, I'll give you money. Like, That should be just
Digi-
courtesy. Just common courtesy. I paid Devu to
fucking
edit my
rocks.
videos. And he told me he'd do them for free. Like, he was like, yeah, I want to edit for you just because I'm a huge fan and I love your videos. And I was like, dude, you are better at editing than I am. I didn't pay Devu what he's worth, I'll admit. Like, he probably deserved more than I gave him. He got to work on content he was really passionate about, and you know, unlike Dr. Wolf's artist, he actually wanted these videos to exist. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think you should fucking pay people if they work on your shit.
No, I totally agree. I didn't know that you paid Ocelot, though. That's totally rad of you to do. I wouldn't have
I will
expected that.
Is when I get paid, but yeah.
I just wouldn't have, like, expected any... I've never heard of anybody doing a collaboration video who has actually gone in and cut some of that money, especially when they're doing, like, something like Patreon. That's awesome. I think that's really admirable. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I believe people should be making what they're worth, you know? Like, I don't do my work for free. I don't want... It's sort of... Me and Goat were having this argument with this famous anime YouTuber called Demolition D, who we were in a chat with him, and he was, like, really steadfastly anti-Patreon for reasons he never really clarified, but he was like, I'm not... You know, he didn't want to make one on, like, principle. And I was like, I don't understand why you would do something that you love doing, that people want to pay you for, and then, like, not accept payment, especially if you think there's any value in other... Like, how can you be anti-Patreon? It's like, you're friends with Your Movie Sucks, you know, where that guy is making a living doing these kind of videos because of Patreon. He wouldn't be able to otherwise. Your Movie Sucks could not put the level of effort and care into his videos that he does if he didn't make money through Patreon. And you clearly think he's worthwhile. So where the fuck are you coming from with this, you know?
What was his
I
argument
think-
against Patreon?
He really
it
didn't
was
make
like
one.
nothing. He actually admitted that he was being stupid, so it was
Yeah,
like,
he did
whatever.
eventually say that he was mostly like butthurt over the fact that Vadim Video makes so much money, but he would make just as much. He even admitted it. We were like, dude, you would make over $3,000 a month if you made Patreon. He was like, I know, I'm just being stubborn and it's principle and blah blah. I'm like, what the fuck ever, dude? Like, I don't care if you don't make a Patreon, but how can you not see the value in being able to pay people what you think they're worth, you know? Like,
Dude, Patreon is the only way that artists can make, like, a decent living these days. I'm not even kidding. Like, you know, a lot of some of my favorite artists, especially in, like, the furry fandom, right? They make an actual living off of doing artwork, and you can't do that consistently in any other way. Patreon is super important for that reason. This is the
Right.
first time that you've ever been able to do that. Instead of begging for like a job, you know, application where you paint some sort of logo for some company, they slap $500 on your table and then you leave and go searching for weeks for another job. That sort of shit never, I mean, being an artist is never consistent. Patreon is the
Right.
only time that I've ever seen where artists can sustain themselves. That's great. And I love
Right.
artists. Artists are, you know, they're my friends,
Exactly.
right? So
And,
I'm
like-
an artist. I'm an art major. So
That's
I
not
remember
entirely.
doing-
I have an ex who sustains herself basically doing commissions, but it ain't easy.
right.
It ain't
I remember
easy.
when
it
fucking
ain't easy.
It ain't no life to
when
have.
Bandcamp came out, I was like, this is fucking genius, right? Because you can either pay the minimum amount or you can pay what you think the album's worth, right? So, like, if there's some album that's, like, enhanced my life for 10 years, and I think it's, like, the best album ever, and then I get the option to pay for as, like I can pay as much as I want for it, and I know the artist has been struggling. A great example of this would be, there's a band called Circle Takes the Square, right? That was a big-time screamo band, very influential in the mid-2000s, but they never really got big commercially, right? They had fans who were diehard. People thought they only had, like,